In a world filled with information, where do you turn to get straight talk about retirement, investments, and your money? Lock it in to the longest-running financial talk show in Arkansas, and let us help you build the bridge between information and application. Real financial change begins right here, and it starts with you.
It's showtime!
Good morning, everybody. On today's show, finding valuable information on your hunt for financial independence. It can be difficult to drown out the noise. Plus, a special Gen Wealth announcement. The Get Ready for the Future show starts now.
This is the Get Ready for the Future show.
And welcome in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening wherever you get the Get Ready for the Future show. We are glad to have you along. My name is Scott Inman, along with John Shrewsbury and Janet Walker. We will soon be joined by two other Gen Wealth team members. It may be a record today. We're squeezing 5 Gen Wealth team members into today's broadcast.
All not at the same time, though.
No, we don't have the room for that, really.
That's true. Yeah.
But it is going to be a busy, busy show. And the topic of today's show, the theme is, as we mentioned in the open there, finding valuable information. And I would even say applicable information on your hunt for financial independence. We're going to get into the mental aspects and really the noise that's out there and really how easy it is to fall prey to some of those things that are out there that are always inundating your email inbox or your social media feeds or your television, wherever you're getting your information. But before we dive into today's show, we promised you some big news. This has been our social media feed has been cluttered for the last week or so with reminders that we had a big announcement on today's Get Ready for the Future show. And that announcement is that the Gen Wealth team is growing, John.
Yeah, it is growing. And, you know, our mission never ends. Our mission is to provide wise, knowledgeable counsel through trusted advisors to our clients so they can realize their God-given financial purpose in their lives. And that mission, Janet, never ends.
Right.
It's one of those things that continues. But we have to expand so we can meet that mission. And so we have always expanded Gen Wealth over the years where we had great opportunities to do so, where we found culturally that there was a fit for an advisor and they were located in a particular location.
So to date, we've had the opportunity to expand from the original Bryant location. We are also in West Little Rock. We're in El Dorado. We're in Hot Springs. We're in Conway. And we're also in Bossier City, Louisiana. And now we get to add a new state. And I will tell you, if I had to pick any other state outside of Arkansas, it would be this state. I actually lived there for a couple of years, and my heart has lived there for many, many years. So it is a very special place to me. And John, the location is?
The location is suburban Nashville, Tennessee. As a matter of fact, Brentwood, Tennessee. And leading our effort at Brentwood is going to be a great friend of Gen Wealth. We've known Christian for a long time. Christian Von Allman joins us all the way from Brentwood, Tennessee. Good morning, Christian. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing well. How are you?
We're great. We're great. We have to tell you, Christian, we're so excited to have you as part of the Gen Wealth team. I've mentioned that we've known you for a long time because you actually used to work at one of our product providers, but you left that industry, and then you and I had a couple of conversations that really did sort of evolve and lead us to the point that we are right now, where we get to add the 7th location of Gen Wealth in Brentwood, Tennessee. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about how this all come to pass and that type of thing.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to Janet, John, Scott, and the rest of the team at Gen Wealth for entrusting me to expand the brand and help more people here in Middle Tennessee. Could not be more excited to be a part of the team. Just a quick side note I want to share with you as far as the growth and the expansion that's happening here in Tennessee. There is an estimate that there's over 80 people per day that are moving here to Nashville and Middle Tennessee. And last week, Oracle announced that they're going to have over 8,000 jobs they're going to be adding here to Middle Tennessee. So very exciting time for Middle Tennessee as well as Gen Wealth. And just take a couple of minutes here to introduce myself. I lived here for the last 9 years with my beautiful wife, Laura, my older son, Luke, and my younger son, Cohen. We absolutely love Middle Tennessee. We really enjoy raising our boys here, and the culture and the people and the music city is just electric. And on the weekends, we watch our boys play sports and enjoy spending quality time with them. Both of my boys attend Christ Presbyterian Academy. We're really proud of that and the way that they're teaching our boys to be young men in this world. On the professional side of things, I've been in the financial services industry, as you know, John and Janet, and the rest of the folks at Gen Wealth now know. I've been in the industry for 22 glorious years. I was a senior executive at the largest retirement income company in the country. Throughout my career, I've spent thousands of hours working with side by side with financial advisors to develop income and estate planning strategies to help retirees place well over $1 billion of their hard-earned money to work. And as you said before, John, like, why Gen Wealth? Ultimately, at the end of the day, as you know, I met you and Janet when one of my close colleagues, one of my best friends, passed away. And as a team, we were searching for who would help manage his money, who would be best to lead his widow forward. And Gen Wealth was the absolute obvious answer. And why? Why was Gen Wealth the obvious answer? Well, it's because of their culture and how authentic you all are and your team is, and we are now as I joined this team, and I could not be more excited about it. Obviously, you guys are education driven, which is exemplified by the radio show and the podcast that you guys do on a weekly basis, and the way that you engage your clients on a day in and day out basis. I love the fact that Gen Wealth, we create personalized strategies for each client, and I love the fact that we deliver it in a team concept so that it really creates a really good client experience. So, John, Janet, and the rest of the folks out there, again, as I said before, could not be more excited to be a part of this team and expanding our efforts and our abilities to help people have more in life and as it relates to their personal finances here in Brentwood specifically, in Middle Tennessee at large. So thank you for having me on today. I really appreciate the time.
Christian, I cannot imagine a better fit for our team than bringing you on board. Culture is a big thing for us here at Gen Wealth, and adding Christian is just that puzzle piece that comes together at just the right time and just the right location.
Yeah, absolutely. From day one, Christian has been a cultural fit for our team, which means we believe he'll be a cultural fit for our future clients in the Brentwood area. And so if you're in Brentwood and you're hearing about us for the first time, we look forward to meeting you. And Christian, welcome to the Gen Wealth family. Yeah,
absolutely. And Christian, I will tell you that there's probably a waiting list of Gen Wealthians that are ready to come over and help you out and hang out in Music City. And
anytime, I'll roll out the red carpet.
Yeah,
Thanks again for having me on.
Yeah, thank you, Christian. Most of us are huge country music fans, and I know Scott's probably trying to figure out where he falls on that list.
Well, I'll spend my own dime if I have to get over there. We've already had that discussion at dinner that when am I coming to Nashville to visit? But yeah, we are very excited. Christian, again, thanks for joining us on this segment of the Get Ready for the Future show. We'll let you go, but we do want to remind people to find out more about the new location and our new team member. You can go to getreadyforthefuture.com/Brentwood. Have a good day, Christian.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
See you, Christian.
So I think it's as we talk about expansion and really growing the mission of Gen Wealth, which you started off talking about, John, I think it fits into this theme very well today because, as Christian mentioned, our focus, the whole reason we're doing the radio show, the live stream, and the reason for growth is we're trying to get the message out there. We're trying to cut through the noise and confusion. And it is hard, I think, on our end sometimes is because even as clients of Gen Wealth, that they get inundated sometimes with the noise that's out there, and they'll bring it into the client room with questions that you know exactly where they came from.
Oh, yeah. There's no immunity. Just because you're a Gen Wealth client, you're not immune to all the noise that's out there. One of the biggest concerns right now that we hear is the concern over taxes. Yeah. And what I'm about to say is to not necessarily water down any concern over taxes if your tax bill is going up. But that's the question. Is your tax bill going up? A lot of people come in and they're in a very low tax bracket and they're likely not to be affected by the changes that they're talking about taking on in Washington. But I will tell you that they are scared to death about it. And Janet, that's something that we want to try to help them understand and allay some of those fears if they are not going to be affected by it.
I think probably every advisor on the team is having a tax conversation at least 2 or 3 times a week, it feels like right now, because it doesn't come up in every single appointment. But you're right, it is very common. And it's one of when you talk about the noise, Scott, it's one of those things that it's a piece of noise. You hear, okay, taxes are going up. We've spent all this money. We've sent out money to everybody in the United States over and over again during COVID. And so how do we pay for all that? Well, we pay for all that through taxes at some point. But the question is, who pays for it through their taxes, and does it apply to you? And just as an example of why we would consider this noise for most people is right now they're still looking at it being a $400,000 threshold of earnings and north of that. And so if you make less than that, it doesn't really apply to you. But guys, it can certainly be a distraction in your focus on retirement. It's very concerning.
Well, and not to turn this into a tax conversation, but there are some things in the proposed bill that the Biden administration has put forth to be concerned about, regardless of what your income bracket is. But there are some that's not, and so I think that we go back to the equation that we've always talked about. Yes, you want to be concerned about the economy, but you really want to be concerned about your economy, and that really applies in the tax situation as well.
I would agree.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before too. When it comes to the noise, when it comes to headlines, when it comes to the social media quote-unquote experts, and everybody is one, whether it's talking about health and COVID or if it's talking about your finances, everybody's got an opinion, and it's presented many times as fact when it's not, and we won't go down that road too far. But when you think about how that applies to you, and I think that's a great way to take it, John, is it the overall economy they're talking about here, even if it is factual that they're talking about, or are they talking about my personal economy? And it's very difficult for any kind of a media or broad-based statement to really apply to anyone on a personal level, because they are really just trying to get your attention. They may be fear-mongering. They may have honest intentions, but they're really trying to get your attention. They need clicks. They need likes. They need followers.
Yep.
A simple Google search of Build Financial Independence brings up articles like 7 ways to achieve financial independence and retire by 40. Well, that'll get your attention, right? Sure. Who wouldn't want to retire by 40? Get started with the FIRE movement, right? We've talked about the FIRE movement. We'll tell you a little bit about how to get even more information on that. But ways to build wealth fast that your financial advisor won't tell you. As if we're harboring secrets at Gen Wealth, right?
That's that unicorn that you have
Yes.
hiding in the back, Jan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, frankly, if your financial advisor has a way for you to build wealth faster, they're going to use it, you know, because they're going to get paid more, you're going to make more, you're going to send more people to them. There's not a get rich quick opportunity for you.
Well, let's face it. All of that information probably is based in fact. But I think that the key here is that you've got to take it in context. Context is really absent online. There is no context. It's just presented. Oh, well, here's 4 ways that you can build financial wealth before 40 and be financially independent. Well, in what context? What does that mean to you? And I think that is really the role of an advisor, is to put things into context and say, all right, now in your situation, you might not want to, live on water and rice between now and age 40 in order to meet financial independence. You would go, nope, I'm out on that. I don't want to do that. Okay, then that whole article doesn't apply to you because you just don't have the means to be able to do that by 40. So I think, Scott, many times that's why we do the Get Ready for the Future show. That's why our theme over the years has been straight talk about retirement investments and your money, because we want you to have the right information, not just information, but the right information.
Let me do a couple of things, because we did a whole show on the FIRE movement a while back. If you want to better understand the potential harm, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the idea, but there's some potential danger in trying to go down that route. Things you really are not thinking about, really. You can certainly save a lot of money, and you can certainly build a lot of wealth, and you can certainly think you're ready to retire early, but what do you not know? The FIRE movement, we did a whole show about it. You can find that Get Ready for the Future show episode. The link will be in the comments if you're watching live on social media today, but if you're listening on radio, you can check out our social media or find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts and find that episode that we discussed the FIRE movement. So today's show, cutting through the noise and finding valuable information on your hunt for financial independence. We're going to play off of a little Where's Waldo theme, and Janet, and when Teresa steps in, they're going to have to help me with that, because I don't know much about
I'm out.
Where's
I don't.
Waldo.
Red and white stripes, that's all I got.
I don't know much about Where's Waldo other than he has a cane, and in the cartoon on social media, apparently I have a cane, and I've protested that, but to no avail.
Well, we're going to cut you loose
Okay,
and let you off for the rest of the show. Teresa Arago joins us right after this.
At Gen Wealth, one of our standards is that we're life changers. We believe one of the best ways to change your life is to educate yourself. George Washington Carver said that education is the key that unlocks the golden door of freedom. Let that soak in for just a moment. Think about the changes that you can make by learning more, specifically learning more about your money. We are passionate about education. We believe that it has the potential to change not only one life, but generations to come.
The beauty of a potter's work is that each item is unique. No piece is the same. That's what makes it art. At Gen Wealth, we believe your financial plan should be unique to you. Through our process, your money is carefully shaped around your goals and dreams. Your future, artfully crafted. Call us today or visit our website and connect with us. Gen Wealth Financial Advisors.
Question? Email info@getreadyforthefuture.com with your name, location, and question to get a response on the air from the Gen Wealth team. Now, back to the Get Ready for the Future show.
Cutting through the confusion and finding valuable information on your hunt for financial independence. That's the theme of today's Get Ready for the Future show. Scott Inman back with you, Janet Walker back with you, and we've replaced John with Teresa Arago. We're just trying to see how many people we can get on the show today.
I think it's a fun game. We'll just keep going around. We'll go find someone in another room, drag them in for the next segment. No?
Yeah. Speaking of games, we're going to talk about Where's Waldo, and they're going to have to provide some insight on how all that works. But I do want to say one thing. We were talking a little bit about with regard to the noise that's out there and the headlines, the attention-grabbing headlines. We were talking about taxes and what people are talking about with regard to President Biden's tax plan. He is actually, if you're watching today on social media on our live stream, he's scheduled to have a speech to Congress to outline the details of that. And we are talking about the tax plan and the specifics that kind of started to leak out late last week and caused a little bit of a minor hiccup in the markets, in fact, in today's Fastest 4 Minutes in Finance. If you haven't heard of the Fastest 4 Minutes in Finance, well, you probably haven't been listening to the Get Ready for the Future show. It used to be included on the radio program. It was a needed segment because our affiliates required different formats, so we did it for that reason, and we don't need to do it anymore on the radio show, but we still do a video segment called the Fastest 4 Minutes in Finance, and it is delivered directly to your email inbox. So here's what I'd like you to do, because we're talking about the tax plan in this week's Fastest 4. Go to fastest4.com. That's the number 4. So spell out fastest, use the number 4.com. All you have to do is put your email address in there, and every week you'll get the Fastest 4 Minutes in Finance. A quick video in 4 minutes or less. We're going to take a topic in finance that might be personal. It might be related to retirement. It's going to be current event driven, as this one is, talking about taxes. So an opportunity to get a little bit more value from the Get Ready for the Future show side.
Scott, I'm going to jump in here for just a minute, and I know this is, for the record, this is completely unsolicited from Scott, but I got to tell you, I think that the Fastest 4 is one of the best pieces that Gen Wealth has ever put out. Scott has started doing it in this completely different format, and he obviously doesn't need John, Janet, Teresa, or anybody else to do an amazing job, and so go check it out, sign up for it. I have watched it, and even already knowing the information that is going to be shared, it's just really well done. And we've talked about getting above the noise. It's an opportunity for you to get to what matters for me and get it pretty quickly and be up to date without all the negativity that is flooding all the rest of the news
That's
sources.
what I was going to say. I heard you guys on the first segment talking about the people looking for clicks. You know, there's not a lot of content that is not self-seeking. And so
Yeah.
I love our education focus, even
Right.
showing through that it's not about scaring you. It's
Right.
not about trying to get extra clicks. It's about giving you a tip on something that real quick you can do to benefit yourself long term.
When I gather the information for that, my goal is to provide perspective, because you are hearing, especially as politicized as everything is now,
Yeah.
you're going to get it off the left, you're going to get it off the right, you're going to get it everywhere. And this just kind of is a step back, and what does it really mean to you? So again, fastest4.com for that. So it kind of fits in that plug with today's show. We're talking about the noise and cutting through that confusion. And we've got this, every week we have our content plan, and it's got kind of a title, right? And it's Where's Wealthy, which is a play off of Where's Waldo. And I shied away from that a little bit when I was reading about it, because I don't know much about Where's Waldo. So y'all are going to have to help me out.
Well, all I know is these red and white stripes,
It's
and
me.
there's books, and you got
It's
to
my
find them.
generation.
So
when we were
you got
kids,
this.
that was our thing. These Where's Waldo books were coming out constantly.
Yeah.
And it was this big push to who could find them the fastest.
Okay.
So there's this picture, and it'll have a ton of things that look very similar.
Yeah.
And your job is to find where Waldo is in this big scene where there's a lot of similar background. So when you think about what we're talking about, cutting through the noise, there's a lot of noise on each page that you've got to cut through to find that little bitty character who might be tucked behind something where you can only really see his cap. You know?
Yeah.
So our number one bullet point is don't be a paper chaser and play the long game. And so the Incredible Paper Chase is apparently the name of a Where's Waldo
is.
book. Okay. So the paper chase, what does that mean? What are you chasing? I think the equivalent in your hunt for financial independence, when it comes to chasing, I think of chasing rates of return. And I think that when you talk about the investment side of things, that is really where even people with the most honest of intentions and maybe very coachable, they've been conditioned because of this noise and the headlines that are out there to be thinking of, I need to invest in a way that outperforms everybody around me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I think it's very comparable to like weight loss quickly versus wealth gain quickly. It's the same storyline. My brother, I'm going to brag on him for just a minute. He has lost over 50 pounds in the past few months. Looks amazing, and he's not done yet. He's going to get down to a healthy weight that he was at in high school, and he's in his 50s, and he's just done an amazing job. But it wasn't like he was, 50 pounds heavier on Sunday and 50 pounds lighter on Monday.
Right.
It doesn't happen that way, and neither does gaining wealth. It is a slow and steady wins the race. Nobody's going to wake up tomorrow measurably wealthier than they are today. And so what happens is you get a little bit of this, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. You're looking at what investments does your neighbor have? What investments does your coworker have? And well, they've got $1 million and I don't, so I need to do what they're doing. Well, they've had those maybe for a while. They're in a different stage of life. Their details are different than yours. And it again, they didn't wake up with $1 million the day after they had nothing. It took them a while to get to that point.
And we know that every investment decision has an alternative to it. So if you go with something that's your goal is to just chase that return, what are you giving up?
Right.
What are you taking on from a risk standpoint? And if you're just throwing money at investments without a purpose, are you going to get where you want to go?
Yeah.
We talk constantly about building your roadmap. And let's say you've built that roadmap and you feel like you have your plan in place. So if I wanted to get to the beach, I know what direction I'm going to go. Well, Google Maps is going to tell me where to go. But even if I know where I'm going, I'm not going to get in the left lane, go 120 mile per hour the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to use a reasonable approach to that. At least I would, because I don't like getting speeding tickets.
Yeah. Or
I
ending
don't
up
want
in
to
a
get
ditch.
dinged.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think if you focus on just one thing, the chances of you getting dinged in some way are very high. So having a plan makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah.
I think where you're going there, you're talking about a purpose for those dollars. We often talk about beginning with the end in mind.
Yes.
And so regardless of what dollars you're talking about, whether you're saving for a vehicle or saving for your retirement, you have to assign a label to those dollars. That label gives it purpose, and that purpose helps you and your advisor determine how to allocate those dollars. Frankly, if it's for a car purchase that you're going to get in 6 months, it doesn't need to be invested. That's bank money. It's not investment money. So different dollars get treated different ways based on their purpose.
You mentioned the GPS. You've both heard my
Yes.
GPS story. I actually have a new one now. from last weekend. So I
Is
went
this
up.
your hiking
I
deal?
went on a hike,
Yeah.
right? So I went up for the first time. I've lived in Arkansas almost my whole life, and I'd never hiked Whitaker Point or Hawksbill Crag up and around the Buffalo River Wilderness area. And it's real easy to find that dot on the GPS map, right? You put it in there, and it sends me on my way, and I'm on highway for most of that trip. Well, the last 6 miles have you turning down a county road that is full of mud, right?
Road is a loose term.
Yes. It's a muddy road, and it's 6 miles of it. Big drop-offs on both sides. I follow my GPS, and I'm trusting that it's going to lead me to the right location, but after about halfway through this 6 mile trip, I haven't even passed a vehicle. Now you think about how that starts to make you feel.
You starting to hear some banjos in the background?
Maybe. That you're feeling really helpless. Like, I don't know at the end of this 6 miles, am I getting where I want to go?
There are definitely times along our journeys financially where we doubt the path that we're on.
Yeah.
Even if it is the right path, we doubt it. So how did your journey turn out?
Well, I got there. When I arrived at the parking lot, it was full, and people were everywhere, right? But I didn't see them on the way there.
Right.
So they may have all felt like me, but I mean, I was by myself, so I was fearful of running off the road and getting stuck, and nobody knows.
No cell service,
But my GPS stories are always about, I like to carry those road maps because you get to pull out and see where you are in relation to everything else.
Yes.
It goes back to that perspective rather than listening to the noise of the headlines and the GPS saying turn left, turn right, and you don't really know why you're turning left or right.
And that point about where you are in relation to everything else is where you are on your path.
Right.
It gets back to this concept of it's your economy, not the economy.
Yeah.
It's your journey, not what journey your neighbors are on or your coworkers. Where are you on your path?
Yeah. And so if you need help finding that end goal, identifying what your outcome should be, feeling secure about your future starts with how you see your future. We've got 10 ways to shift your perspective of planning with our free download. It's called What's the Plan? A manifesto for your life, your worth, and what happens next. And here's how to get it. Go to getreadyforthefuture.com/plan, or you can just text the word plan to 501-381-5228. That's 501-381-5228. We've got about 2 minutes left on this segment, so we'll get in a little bit on number 2 as far as how to get valuable information. Make sure you're getting valuable information on your road to financial independence. It's avoid emotional decisions, because let's be honest, that is what this clickbait world we're living in is all about. It wants you to stir emotions in you, whether it's fear or whether it's excitement or motivation even. The emotional side of this is so key to avoid when it comes to your finances.
And it's understandable to see why. Everything we do is in some way determined by our finances.
Yeah.
So I can see how people get there. I mean, even we do. That's why I'm not my own financial advisor. I do this for a living, but I don't do it for me.
Right.
So it's really important to have a buffer in between you and your money, because those decisions being emotional can really damage you instead of help you if you don't have it.
Well, and I think, we've talked about getting above the noise. And when you look at what the media is providing us in terms of noise, it is by far very negative. In fact, there's a study put out by Dartmouth last month that found that nearly 90% of articles from major U.S. news organizations are negative. Now, I know you're all shocked by that, but I believe that statistic is accurate. And when you think about, okay, if you have on whatever news source it might be, and it's negative, and then let's go back to Scott on his journey to go hiking. If he's hearing, think about that. If you're hearing, hey, guess what? You're in a bad place. Hey, guess what? There's a drop off on the side. Hey, guess what? There's nobody else out there. How much worse does your journey feel at that point if all you're hearing is negative news constantly? You've got to be able to focus on the reality of your situation and not worry about the negativity that is being broadcast, because negativity sells, frankly.
90%. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I actually heard how that related to COVID as well. That even after the vaccines came out, and even as the number of cases was dropping, that the news was still largely negative. Hey, we're going to take a break. We're halfway home on the Get Ready for the Future show today, so stay with us. We're back in a moment.
saving money?
So you'll have more stuff that you can get.
So, would you rather spend money or save money? You'd rather save money?
Yeah, I would get $1 and $1 after 2 days.
Do you know what a credit card is?
Yes.
What's a credit card?
Something that has money on it. And if you cash it in, you can pay with it.
But how does the money get on the credit card?
Bill Gates.
What about a car? How much money do you think it takes to buy a car?
100.
So for $100, what would your car look like?
A pink car that has glitter all over it.
So if I gave you what would you buy with it?
Maybe a car. 2, 3 houses. 100 wood. 2,000 toys. And infinity couches.
What do you think a 401k is?
A candy bar. Okay, a wafer with chocolate syrup on top and then caramel on top and then chocolate chips.
Would you cover it in chocolate?
Yeah.
Tell me everything you know about
money. That it costs a lot and that people get only a few things. And if you save money, you can get stuff that you need.
We're back with more straight talk about retirement, investments, and your money on the Get Ready for the Future show.
Finding valuable information on your hunt for financial independence. That's the subject of today's Get Ready for the Future show. And we left off with number 2. We've got 4 points to make in today's show. And number 1 was don't be a paper chaser with regard to the book Where's Waldo. Don't chase high returns. It's about outcome. It's about beginning with the end in mind. And we just got started with number 2, avoid emotional decisions. And we talked about the negativity in the media, that 90% of stories, according to a Dartmouth study, indicated that the 90% of the stories out there were negative. And when you think about my past as a news anchor, a lot of this is not necessarily intentional. It's not agenda driven, but we just something as simple as reporting how the stock market closed on a daily basis. We ran the actual number every day as a kind of a throwaway thing at the end of a segment. But it became a news story if it was down big.
Oh, yeah.
It was never a news story if it was up big. So you think about the perception of if somebody just got their information from one source that, well, the market's always bad. And the reality is market volatility is always going to happen. It is not. I told a client this morning, actually, we were talking about the market being at all-time highs, and he's a little bit fearful of where we are. And I always try to give them that expectation that it's probably going to have a pullback at some time in 2021, and that's not uncommon. If we go down 10%, if the S&P goes down 10% sometime this year, it's not uncommon, and it doesn't mean the world is ending. But you don't want to sell when that happens, when it's on its way down, or even try to get back in after it goes back down.
Scott, you talked about that 10%. We would call it a correction, a 10% correction. And it is very common when you look at a year that is on December 31st, a positive year in the market. It is incredibly common for there to have been a 10% correction. So it feels very ugly at the time. The question is, what do you do about it? When you think that things are going awry, how do you respond? And we've actually got a graph we're going to share on this to kind of show you the difference that it can make on your overall investments, because if you stay in, then you're experiencing the lows, yes, but you're also experiencing the highs. So let's look at this here. This is from January of 1980 through March 31st of 2020. This is the growth of a $10,000 being invested in the S&P 500. Now, just to clarify, you can't invest directly in the S&P 500, but this is what would have happened in this situation. If you invested $10,000 and you stayed in, and by the way, March 31st of 2020 was at a very low point. That was right after the downturn from COVID. So if you stayed in that entire time, your $10,000 would be $697,000. If you'll allow me, for rough numbers, that's basically $700,000 after that 40-year period of time. But if you missed the best 50 days, you're down to $48,000. Now, would you rather have $48,000 or $697,000? Now, the guy who has $697,000 figured out somehow how to, make it through those rough days and not be focused on that.
Yeah. It's about the why. If you understand the why and you understand how volatility works, it's not as scary. In my RICP class, one of the lecturers on there said something to the tune of volatility only matters when it hurts. Right. And volatility is your friend in many cases when you're accumulating. But if you're on that end of the spectrum where you are now in retirement or entering retirement, having a plan is so critical to avoid selling when it's down.
I mean, guys, you think about this over a 40-year time period, just to miss the best 50 days, it's one a year plus a few more here and there. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take much to be out of the market one day a year, and it makes that much of a difference.
Yeah, the whole point is you don't know when those 50 days are going to occur. And more than likely, the reason you missed them is because you got out on the way down before they rebounded, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So to our point, though, not selling on the way down cuts out a lot of the risk here. So our number 3 point is focus on wisdom, not information. And I think that's a great point to hang out on, because that's what you're getting. Even if you give the noise out there the benefit of the doubt that it's accurate. Okay, so, if it's, but it's still just information. How you apply it becomes the wisdom side of that.
So let's do the where's Waldo setup on this.
All right.
Okay, so there's Waldo, but if you spell Waldo backwards, you get Oddlaw. And Oddlaw, Teresa, since you are the authority on Waldo, you get to explain Oddlaw to everybody.
Oddlaw is Waldo's nemesis, and he looks just like Waldo except a few minor differences.
Okay.
And when you think about what we're talking about today, this is really very similar. There is, as we've talked about, a lot of information on the internet, and it all seems right. But not all of it's right for you. And not all of it is even right. So having somebody to cut through that for you and give you what matters to you is extremely helpful.
So let's talk about the difference between wisdom and information. As you pointed out, first of all, the information may or may not be accurate that you're getting. I used to, when I taught, I used to tell my students, you can get some resources online, but you're going to need to have a book or two that you actually use, because frankly, I could go online and create a website that says that Bryant High School right here in Bryant, Arkansas, that it's in Alaska somewhere, and make it look like it's a true statement just because I created the website, and that's it. So how do you validate this information? So you've got to search for truth in the information, but wisdom is knowing how to apply that information, or whether that information even applies to your situation or not.
Yes, and I think when you think of, your children, for instance, they can learn a lot of things in school, but they don't necessarily know how to apply them.
Right.
I can read an owner's manual to my vehicle and try to fix it, but I don't have the training or knowledge to do it properly. So that's why I engage with a mechanic when it comes to my vehicle, because they know how to cut through what really is going on.
This highlights, as so much does that we do on the program, the need for planning, because I think of investments when I think of things that are being pitched to everybody, and they may be information about that investment that is absolutely accurate. That investment does X, Y, and Z, and it will do that. But that doesn't mean that you need it in your portfolio. And you think about, we use the analogy of the toolbox a lot, that we have a toolbox back here that is full of investments. And quite frankly, anyone who has the same licenses that we do has the same access to that same toolbox. But it is not about having access to it. It's not about the information. It is how do you apply it? Which tool is right for the job? And quite frankly, we see this in client meeting rooms. A 30-year-old who has the same portfolio as a 60-year-old.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be appropriate because they're not in the same season of life.
So let's circle back to the scenario about the market and whether you stay in the market or not when the market has a downturn. It has had many in the past. It will have many more in the future. It's going to happen. The market is cyclical. That's how it works, period. So when you get the news, oh my gosh, the market is crashing or there's a significant downturn or whatever, that is the information. Now, do you have the wisdom to know, maybe coupled with your advisor, how do I respond to that? How do I say, all right, this matters and I need to take action in my portfolio, or more likely, I've already got a plan in place and I don't need to react. Yes, this information is accurate that the market is down, but does it matter for me enough to take action?
And we just recently did a show about DIY. That's the right acronym there, right?
DIY.
DIY. I knew I had it
yourself?
wrong. Doing it yourself.
yourself in?
She doesn't
I don't
do DIY.
I don't do DIYs. Well,
what you
I've
meant.
tried. I have tried in the past, and these are not going to be my specific photos, but we talk about all the things you can get off the internet, and a lot of people will try to DIY their retirement.
Yeah.
Just like some people will DIY baking. And I've had some, we call them Pinterest fails in my family in the past. And we've got a few examples for you guys here of some that have happened. These are not mine, I'd like to reiterate. But,
Oh my gosh.
when you try to do things on your own, you can have some great tools, some great ideas out there. But if you don't know how to execute, I know, this is horrible. So, if you don't know how to execute, it's pretty rough.
I think we just went to a PG-13 rating with that terrifying image. If you're listening on radio, by the way, you're missing this. So you got to watch the live stream.
Yeah, it's worth finding us on social media for this.
There's literally an entire Netflix show called Nailed It, because this happens so often, and they bring people on and they try to create things that they're not equipped to do. And that's the key. Is if you have not spent years studying how retirement works, how money works, how to build wealth, you probably don't have the tools to do this yourself. And again, even if you do, I don't do it for myself.
Well, and guys, how many times, like even on Social Security, let's set the investments aspect of retirement income aside. How many times on Social Security do people come in going, okay, I'm going to claim at this age? Period. End of conversation. They've already made the decision. Well, with over 2,700 rules that apply to Social Security, there might be some information that applies to your situation that you just have no ability to have already known that information.
I know of two specific clients who the wife was taking her own benefit and had no clue that she was entitled to more.
Yeah.
Just because all she needed to do was apply for the spousal benefit, but she didn't know it existed, nor did the client. So there's little things like that that can have a huge impact on you long term if you just get those tools.
Whether it's Social Security or it's taxes or it's some other specific to finances that you can get some information on and learn a little bit more on, I want to encourage you to check out our past webinars. We've got replays available anytime at getreadyforthefuture.com/events. But again, I think there's still a bridge when you receive that information. Now you have the knowledge. What exactly are you going to do with it? And I think it's a great opportunity to let you know that a Gen Wealth advisor is ready to help. You can call 501-653-7355. Again, our number is 501-653-7355, and that will get you in touch with Anna Olive. She is our client introductory specialist, and she can match you geographically or age-wise or however she sees that there's a great opportunity to fit you with the advisor to work with. And we have offices in Conway, where Teresa is, in West Little Rock, where I am, in Bryant, where Janet is, also offices in Hot Springs and El Dorado, Shreveport, Bossier City area in Louisiana, and as you found out at the top of this broadcast now, also Brentwood, Tennessee. That same number We'll get you connected with an advisor in any of those areas and begin your planning process, because that's really, again, what we're talking about here is applying that information to your personal economy.
You know, one of the things that we are very focused on and we've talked about today is education. We are always wanting people to be able to learn more and understand more about retirement in general, and then take that to your individual retirement. And so one of the things we have available for you is some of the webinars that we have done in the past. You know, COVID caused us to go from workshops in person to webinars where people can view those repeatedly. And so those are available to you. If you want to go check out some of the replays, you can go to getreadyforthefuture.com/events and watch those as you like and grow your retirement education.
It is time to take a break. We'll be back with our final segment right after this. There's always been power in standing up for what you believe in, challenging the status quo, and never accepting the ordinary. What about the rest of your life? Will you settle? Or will your retirement be more? More fun, more family than finances, more than just investments. Connect with us at GenWealth and harness the power of more.
One of the first things that you see when you walk into a GenWealth office is the GenWealth Standard. There are 7 characteristics of our company and really reflect the personality of who we are. One of my favorites is the GenWealth Standard that says that we are trailblazers. We do not quit no matter the obstacle. We're always trying to innovate for our clients, trying to solve problems, and it's a standard that we uphold every day.
Want more straight talk about retirement, investments, and your money? Listen to our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Now back to the Get Ready for the Future show.
Finding helpful information on your hunt for financial independence, cutting through that confusion, creating a clear plan. We're going to get to our final bullet point. We've been through 3 in today's show. Number 1 was don't be a paper chaser, the play on the Where's Waldo book by the same name. Play the long game. Don't chase high returns, which will likely cause you to take on more risk, and you could end up in the ditch if you're driving 120 miles per hour trying to reach retirement. It's more about setting the end goal, outcome-based, and then avoid emotional decisions. We talked about that, how emotions can really cause you to do the wrong thing at the wrong time for the wrong reason. And then in the last segment, number 3 was focused on wisdom, not information. We can get all the information. We are in the information age. You can Google anything and find something, and even if it is accurate information, wisdom means the application of that. And our final point as we begin our final segment is have a plan and stick to it. Having a plan is great, but you've got to work the plan.
So we'll do the Waldo story to connect this up here. So in the book, the Wonder Book, Waldo apparently ventures through a world of dreams and fantasies, including a cake factory. I don't know if that's where those cakes
probably not where the ones we saw a moment ago came from.
There's a fantastic flower garden and corridors of time. So as you journey through the corridors of time, what's your Wonder Book? Or said another way, what's your plan?
I think, a personalized plan in many ways. I'm going to make a sports reference. Watch out.
Uh-oh.
I've heard it said.
You are in John's seat, so that's probably
the
good.
best defense is a good offense. I'm flipping it, right?
Yeah.
The best offense is a good defense. The best defense is a good offense. If you are being proactive in educating yourself and having that plan and making sure that you've got the why so that you can stick with it, that's the best defense for being affected by all the noise. Because it's all about what you feed yourself. You talked about that. If we have that negative, eventually we're going to get pulled down into that. But if we have straight talk, if we have good education, that also can offset a lot of that out there.
You have a story to tell when it comes to flat tires.
So who you go to also matters.
Or who comes to you, as it might be.
In this case, who came to me. So I have been in the situation of having a flat tire on the side of the road many a time. And I'm always grateful for the help that I've gotten in the past, except once. I was, of course, on the side of the road, had a flat tire, and 4 gentlemen who I'm sure go by the name of Bubba somewhere all came to assist this little lady as they saw it. And my view is, if you want to help, I don't have to get up underneath my car. I'm good with that. But this time, they all had there was this one bolt that was being difficult, and they all had their opinions about how it needed to be fixed and removed, and the one who won that conversation broke it. So he broke the bolt, and those are not easy to replace. So, getting the right person to help me would have saved me several $100s in replacing that whole thing. So it is important to make sure that the person you're getting your education from, the source you're getting that from, is someone who knows what they're doing, has training specifically there. You wouldn't go to a cardiologist to do brain surgery.
Right.
So make sure they're specialized in what you need.
In the financial services industry, that term is fiduciary. Someone who's going to act in your best interest. Gen Wealth is a fiduciary firm, but we are pledging to act in your best interest, not our own. And unfortunately, not every firm or every advisor does that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've talked about that many times with our team, because many of our advisors, frankly, started here. And so it's difficult when you start in one location to know really what else is out there. But there are many companies that are very product driven. They're not client centric. They're not client focused. And, John talked at the top of the show about the purpose, the mission that we have, and it is really to help our clients achieve their goals. And so if that is our purpose, then we need to serve you in the best way that will help you achieve those goals.
So what does a personalized plan look like? I know that planning, we talk about it every week on the show. We are financial planners first. We don't even normally talk about investments in the first appointment unless a client just has a specific question about something. We're certainly transparent enough to do that, but we want to make the plan first, because the plan will dictate to us what investment strategy you need to achieve the goals we have laid out in that plan. But we do know that sometimes it can be an intimidating process for someone, at least in their minds, to think about. I think it's much less intimidating once you actually go through it, but it does require some things on your part, accumulation of documents, to think. But I think this is the best part, to think and dream a little, Teresa.
Yes.
That's the best part. And sometimes we do that in the meeting room. Sometimes the clients haven't done it much before coming to us, but they do it right there in the meeting room.
I think one of the best questions I like asking is, what does retirement look like to you? What do you want to do? Because, the reality is, when you're raising kids and you're getting them through school and college, there's a whole lot of doing what you have to do. I do not enjoy doing laundry 75 loads a week, but it's part of the job, and it's part of what I do. And most of my time is taken up by those tasks. But there will come a time when I just get to do what I want to do. So getting to decide and dream on that. And there are a lot of people who are so far off from retirement that they don't even know what that looks like, or it seems silly to even start. But the reality is, starting young is so important.
Well, and I think that dreaming can help you find your purpose. When you take the time to slow down and envision those things, my husband and I have started having this just ongoing retirement conversation. It's not a, let's sit down and talk about this, a belabored conversation. It's just, we'll do something and really enjoy doing it and go, you know what, I think that needs to be in our retirement plan. Or we do something and go, we are not ever doing that again. So when we get to retirement, this is not in the plan. And it really is a consistent, just ongoing conversation as our picture of retirement morphs. If you're coming in and having that conversation for the first time right before you retire, that's okay. We can help you with that preliminary vision. But I'll tell you, your vision will change as you age, as grandkids come into the picture. All of those things are factors that will impact how you utilize your retirement time.
And I think we've been very intentional as a firm to address everyone at their specific stage of life. We've got the ready to retire process for folks who are probably 10 years or so away or less, even if it's tomorrow, between 10 years and tomorrow of your retirement. I think it's vital that you go through the ready to retire process and build your plan according to where you are in life. But as Teresa's already mentioned, getting started early there's a plan for that. And we have resources and training that we've done to be prepared for that as well.
And I love that we're doing this because I feel like there's a big gap in the planning world where if you're not at, 55 or older and you don't have X number of assets, we can't help you. And I love that our love for education and making sure people have tools has kind of morphed into creating this other piece to what we do. It's always been there, but we've turned it into its own creature and its own process. And I love that because, my age group, there's a lot of distraction to us. But imagine the impact of starting now. Of starting today with figuring out if what I'm doing is going to get me where I want to go. Because if I have 30 years to correct something, the amount of effort it will take to correct it, not hard. We go back to the weight loss thing. Yeah. If I'm planning for a beach trip beach trip, goodness gracious, next week, I'm not going to be bikini ready. Right. That's just not happening. Not a picture anybody wants to see.
Me neither.
This would be a Pinterest fail moment.
It would definitely. And what I would have to do to even try would be unhealthy. Yeah. But if I say, you know what, I'd like to go to the beach next year, and I wouldn't have to do a whole lot to change to be bikini ready. So I think, when we think of our retirement, having a process that can start now to help paint that picture, give you action steps, would be so critical. And what we call that is... I was going to pass it off to you, but you're not ready for it.
I'm sorry. Okay. I want you to.
I'm sorry. We're calling it Money Guide.
Yes.
We've got the Ready to Retire process, but if you're younger than that Ready to Retire age, you just need a guide. You need something to help you walk through the next several decades and get you where you want to go.
Well, and I would say, I know we're not quite to the bell, but I'm going to go ahead and take this as my final thought as that bell approaches. If you are at the point where you go, you know what, I'm not ready to retire. I'm too young for that. I'm not there, but I might need to start doing something. I really would encourage you, there we go, there's the final bell. So just in time for my actual final thoughts, I really would encourage you to stay tuned to the Get Ready for the Future show because we are going to have some news that applies to you and to your age group that we are very excited about. We have always had an ability to serve that group of people that's getting started, but we're getting down into the weeds on some really good details that we're very excited about. So just stay tuned in the next few weeks for more news about that.
And for me, my final thought would be the longer the journey, the more likely you are to have excursions. And when you're talking about your financial journey, having somebody to guide you through those excursions to keep you on track is really important.
I have a final thought. I'm really distracted by the thought of now using Teresa's analogy of be bikini ready. I just, I think that's a fantastic
I'm never going to
analogy.
outlive that one.
No, you're
be
not.
ready for retirement. Be bikini ready. No, my final thought is this. Feeling secure about your future starts with how you see your future. You have to maybe have a mind shift change there. And we have 10 ways to shift your perspective of planning. This is a free download for you. There's no cost in this. It's called What's the Plan? A manifesto for your life, your worth, and what happens next. And you can get that download in one of two ways. You can go to our website, getreadyforthefuture.com/plan, or you can text the word plan right now, PLAN, to this number, 501-381-5228. Again, it's 501-381-5228. Well, we are out of time for another Get Ready for the Future show. We hope you have learned something today. We hope you have taken some thoughts away that you can apply to your hunt for financial independence. And an advisor at Gen Wealth is always ready to help. If you want to get engaged with a Gen Wealth advisor, you can call 501-653-7355. You can also send an email to info@getreadyforthefuture.com. We'll see you again next week.
The Gen Wealth Financial Team is available to you 24/7 at info@getreadyforthefuture.com or call our offices at 501-653-7355. You should personally consult a financial advisor before making any investment, and no strategy can assure success. Gen Wealth Financial Advisors is an Arkansas-registered investment advisor with securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC.